And the Ghana Health Services has confirmed 580 new COVID-19 cases as of 30th July 2021. It brings the active caseload to 6,278. Of that number, 86 are severe and 17 critical. Volta, Bono and Bono East regions are emerging as COVID-19 hotspots in the country. The case rise in these regions has significantly increased since July. Director of the GHS, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaje, who was given an update on the country's case count at a briefing, says most of these cases were recorded in schools.
Where is matched to your passport, and that's when we get to know who is positive or who is not positive. Once you are positive, the system again retests, and then you are sent down to a holding room where there's a doctor there and a nurse who will give you a triage to see this person who is positive, what situation. Is he sick? Is he symptomatic? Does he have any other comorbidity that is of relevance? And if they cannot do that, because especially in the evening when they are there, we have nurses in the hotels where they will do that. They are then transported to the hotels. And so far we have about 6 or more of such hotels, all around the airport area with a negotiated package for people to pay for. Like we said, those carrying Ghanaian passports are offered the Ghana Isolation Center at Pantime. That is, if you opt not to go there, then you have to now decide to pick a hotel where you pay. The hotel is a package that includes your accommodation, meals, and etc. And then you go there, and these are negotiated prices that are relatively low compared to what their charges really are. And then there's a nurse there who checks you up and makes sure everything is fine. And then, of course, the second test is done on the 3rd day, and then on the 7th day there's a repeat test. If you are negative on the 3rd day, you are discharged. Then you have to wait till the 7th day. If you are still positive, you wait till the 7th day. In line with our protocol, that is making sure that you do not leave the place able to share the virus. We are convinced that after 7 days, you are not able to share the virus, and so even if you still remain positive, you will still allowed to go unless you fall sick at the place whilst your condition changes, for which you will be transferred to the hospital for management of the case. So basically, that is the flow. So there's no challenge. Yesterday, after testing nearly 1,800 or so people, we had 3 positives. But you can also see that how sensitive it is. As you see the global trends go up, you also see the surge at the airport. That tells you that it's really reactive to the prevalence of the virus. And so we have a lot of confidence in the system, and we will continue to apply the protocols as it stands until such time that, and as I mentioned the last 2 weeks Wednesday, there are even more stricter protocols by other countries, but we are able to. So all countries have them, but we need to understand that this is a virus that has a different character, and so all protocols are geared towards limiting importation into the country. This is not to say that is 100% proof that nobody will come through, because somebody may be incubating at the time and test positive. And that's why we even tell those who are positive to, as much as possible, to self-isolate, wear their masks, because they could turn positive. For those who have come from countries that we have determined as a current hotspot, we follow them up on the 3rd day to check them up and see whether they are still okay. And for those who are found positive, those sitting around them, we also follow them and do contact tracing on them to be sure that they have not been able to pick the virus along the way. So basically, that's what I can talk about as far as the airport is concerned. But I'm sure if there are questions behind, I will be able to answer. So I can now go ahead with the presentation of the current status. And the next slide, yes. The current situation is that as at the 1st of August, we have confirmed a total of 106,434 cases. And I'll give you the further analysis of that. And that the total tests done is 1,449, 1.49 million tests, with about 98,814 recoveries, and we have so far recorded 854 deaths. And you can see that we started this problem with about 817, so you can see how far, how many people have done. Our current active case is 6,766, and this is quite worrying. So as that tells us that in the last few weeks, we have increased, our active cases are increased from 1,600, that's in the last 1 month, to 6,000, to over 6,000 in 1 month. There's been a very steep rise in the active cases in the last 2 weeks. We have increasing hospitalization and deaths. We are having some emerging hotspots outside Accra and Kumasi that we know of. That is now, we have Volta having new cases. Bono and Bono is also sharing some cases. We also have workplace and school outbreaks taking place. We also have seen, as all of you are aware, that still there's a total disregard to the use of the face mask by the general population. And unfortunately, the Delta variant has become the main dominant variant currently as we speak now, especially in Greater Accra region, where we've done extensive work. The next slide. So you can see that from the curve that you are seeing, the third wave is on its way up, and we hope that we will work, and we, all of us, not just the health sector, including the people, will be able to avert this by applying the protocols and adhering to all the protocols, including acceptance of contact tracing, cooperating with contact tracing, and isolation, so that we can bring these numbers down. So if you look at the 7-day moving average in the next slide, you can see a steep rise. In the second wave, we are very approaching where we peaked in the second wave. But there's an opportunity for us to work very hard to start reversing this by simply applying the very protocol that has worked for us over the years, over the months, the first and the second wave, to be able to bring this down. The general hotspots still remain, as we speak today. Accra is deeper, then followed by Ashanti region. And then you have the other regions. Now we're seeing Volta, its color is getting deeper. Eastern, Central are also showing increasing number of cases. When we come to Volta region, we've seen a lot of few more schools there getting an outbreak. That is also influencing the numbers they are getting. If you look at our active cases, you can see that the chart there is quite steep now. Very steep. The last second wave, we peaked at about 8,000. And if nothing is done urgently, in the next 1 or so weeks, we might just cross the 8,000 mark. So there's a lot that we all need to do to avert this. This has also shown in our hospitalization. Currently, just in Greater Accra alone, we have 272 persons on admission because of COVID. 36 of them are critical. Severe cases are 87, and about 149 are mild to moderate. There are all this, you can see that there's a steep increase in the number of critical cases, making it difficult for the case management team and affecting our ability to provide ICU beds for the teeming number of people who currently need one. I've talked a bit about the airport already, but beside the discussion on the flow and the challenges that have been raised and that have been cleared, as at 7 a.m. on the 4th of August, we've had a total of 2,407 cases, which represent about 0.59, about 0.6% of all those who have been tested at the airport. That tells you that about 99 plus of all the people who test are negative, and that is in reflection of our prevalence. Majority of them are males, 63% and 37% female. The usual numbers have not changed. About 4 out of 10 are Ghanaians and the 6 are non-Ghanaians. And this includes Ghanaians also carrying foreign passports.
Away from COVID-19, the Accra-Tema Motorway has now been caught up in the urban sprawl with settlements on both sides of the road. These settlements have come with countless unapproved crossings where many people are being killed. For our Drive Safe campaign today, Maxwell Agbagba interacted with both drivers and pedestrians who fear more people will die if nothing is done about the situation.
It is a hot afternoon and I'm on the Klagon section of the Tema Motorway. About 100 meters away from where I'm standing is a young female student. She's carrying what is popularly called the Ghana Must Go bag. She has been standing there for the past 10 minutes. Like many others, she's waiting until a safer time to cross. The young lady I later got to know as Betty Kote, a 16-year-old second-year SHS student. Betty's friend Vanessa, who was also a student, died on this section of the motorway. She was on her way to school. Thoughts of that crash, she tells me, makes her very nervous whenever she comes across the highway.
It's very dangerous because the cars are moving very fast and none are ready to allow us cross. So I think if there's an overhead here, it will help a lot because I was struggling a lot to cross the road. So it's very dangerous. I lost my friend just last year. She was also going to school like me. Yes, and then she decided to use this place and the car knocked her down.
Well, you need a cocktail of guts and courage to be able to cross this busy section of the motorway here at Klagon. Majority of the residents I've been speaking to, they tell me about the daily risk of crossing the motorway here at this section. Many of the vehicles are speeding beyond 100 kilometers per hour. Many of the residents here tell me it's dangerous for them to cross this busy section of the motorway.
So that's 12 hours.
I've met another young lady, Beauty Doe. She sells biscuits and drinks at the Klagon lorry station. The woman who used to sell very close to her was one Hajia. Hajia used to sell cola nuts at the station. She was killed some months ago when she tried to cross the motorway to her home.
It was Saturday. Me, I saw from Monday to Saturday. So Saturday, we are all here from Monday to Saturday. So Saturday when she came, we were all here, we chat, we play, we do things, and we were like, oh, today you look beautiful, like a joke. So normally she closed around 5 to 6 that way, and she left. But as for me, I closed around 8. So the next day, Sunday, I was in the house and they called me. The woman had an accident on the motorway. I said, oh, what happened? And they said, she's crossing and can't knock her. I said, oh, and you won't feel like. She's a good woman. She used to advise me and some kind of things. And if you are here, people are passing, they didn't dress well. She talk about it and those things. Crossing motorway there, it's very dangerous because this place is a highway and human beings supposed to cross, but because of the environment and now this place is developing, so.
We'll bring you more of that story later. Now, there may be light at the end of the tunnel for Gideon Fafa Apenga, the boy who did not grow. The 10,000 CD bill for diagnostics has been picked up by Twilliam Foundation, which operates under Twilliam Industrial Company. Gideon's story came to the fore last week when the Prime Morning crew visited him at Peki in the Volta region, where he has been pinned to the ground for 18 years by a spinal condition, which rendered him unable to move his neck or any limbs. Here's a look at that story. What have you been doing for the past 18 years? I'm sure you've been working or schooling, definitely living and growing. For Gideon, whom you're just about to meet, he spent every single day since he was 3 months old, bedridden with a spinal condition. We're here to meet him and Doris, his mother, whose life has changed dramatically since her son was diagnosed.
My sister, my friend, and I don't go hospital. I don't know, no go share, say, my spinal cord. Inti, free one, I'm my date saying something. Now, so yes, I need to be film. Now, yeah, just can't. Metal says, cousin, Tina, young fan uncle.
So we've come to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital to meet Dr. Hadi Abdallah, a neurosurgeon who may have a solution for Gideon's condition.
I mean, watching this now, I'm beginning to form the impression that probably he might have suffered either some spinal cord injury or brain injury of a sort.
So for us to do the tests that would probably determine what is wrong with him so that we can begin treatment, what costs are we looking at?
It's very difficult to determine. Some are beyond me, but averagely I know that if you are, for example, scanning one segment of the spine, on the average, it's between 900 to like 1,000 Ghana cedis.
The patient.
And that is what we did last week on Prime Morning when we were chronicling the story. But William, which produces Rush Energy Drink, Verna Mineral Water, and many other products, responded to this story by giving Gideon money and some cartons of water. We met up with them at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where Gideon's treatment has begun. There's an obvious look of relief on Doris's face as she sits under a shady tree in front of the surgical block of Kolebu Teaching Hospital. She's made the long journey to Accra to seek treatment for her son. Flanking her are officials of Twilliam Foundation, who are visibly moved at the sight of 18-year-old Gideon Fafa Apenya, the boy who did not grow. Gideon is wrapped in a cloth, cradled in his mother's arms like a 3-year-old toddler. His bright eyes suggest he's interested in his new surroundings, but he can't walk, talk, or even lift his neck to acknowledge the group that has gathered for his benefit. Emilia Jesse works with Twilliam.
Twilliam believe in touching each and every life through the simple way that we can. The product you buy from us, we don't just take the money, but we believe that something small can go to people. You can help touch a life irrespective of where you are. So far as you purchase our product, then you are giving back to society. So that is why we are here to help this boy go through the diagnosis that he needs, to also live a life just like a normal person as we are. So if you see us here, we are from Twilliam Foundation by Twilliam Industrial Company Limited, giving our quota to support the young man also live a life just like us.
What are you giving and what's the...
Okay, so as you can see on now, we are donating 10,000 Ghana cedis for him to go through the donation, and we have some pack of water as well for him to drink. Water is life, and we believe by drinking it, he will sustain himself till the time he get there to finish what he has to go through. So if you see us here, we are donating this and our products as well.
Programs Manager for Repower Foundation, Prince Adobo, is grateful.
On behalf of Gideon's family, especially his mother, we say a very big thank you to Trillium Industries producers of Verna mineral water for what they've done for us. They've supported us with 10,000 cedis, and we are so much grateful. We also say a big thank you to the general public for also donating to us.
Live on JoyNews desk with me, Daniel Dazit. We'll be back.
Hello, welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research has raised questions about the availability of funds to implement the Ghana Cares Batampa program. According to its director, Professor Peter Korte, the 100 billion cedi target for the program could be difficult to raise. At a news conference to explain the Institute's position on the 2021 mid-year review of the budget, Professor Korte said although the program is a promising one to revive the economy, raising funds to implement it is a major hurdle. There's more in this report.
The Ghana Cares program is a new initiative by government to stimulate growth of the economy after suffering from the adverse effect of COVID-19 pandemic. According to the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, the slow pace at which businesses are recovering could hamper progress of the initiative. Director of the institute, Professor Peter Korte, believes the 100 billion cedi target may not be realized.
It's certainly going to be a struggle because government revenue numbers are not showing. It's not meeting the target. The private sector is also struggling. So I think it might raise some revenue, but not raise 100% the target that is set, the 100 billion. It might not be able to raise.
Do you think the revenue number should be reviewed? The 100 billion should be reviewed now?
Well, it's a target. At some point, if you realize you're not raising and you need to review some of the activities, that's fine. But it's too early to review it now.
Meanwhile, commenting on the new taxes that were introduced in the 2021 budget, Professor Korte believes there is a need for an assessment after several months of implementation since they have failed to meet the target.
Produced. We want to assess them to see whether they are yielding the right revenue as expected. Are they efficient, or rather becoming a nuisance to businesses? And I was quite impressed that the minister presented that information to us in the document. So we could now assess. At the moment it's below the target, and then I think by end of year we should know whether they are doing well or not, and then whether to scrap some of them and introduce new ones or find new ways of raising revenue.
But as a research institution, is it a prudent way of raising revenue, those new taxes, especially the two, the one that has to do with the COVID-19 levy and then the financial services?
Yeah, you see, sometimes you strike a good balance between tax revenue and non-tax revenue. Unfortunately, we have concentrated on the tax revenue. We've not done so well in raising taxes through the non-tax, like state-owned enterprises becoming profitable and other things. Those are non-tax revenue. Rather, it's the tax revenue that we focus on. So certainly, if you're paying this levy on VAT, on other things, that is a quicker and easy way of collecting revenue. But as to whether they are yielding the needed revenue for government to spend to stimulate the economy, or rather affecting businesses, we are yet to ascertain that at the end of the year.
Isse, however, described the 2021 budget review as optimistic.
And that's Business. What is coming up next?